Chapter 1289. First Pan Jinlian. Bai Lan said as she counted on her fingers. Gu Mingming choked on her drink and almost spat it onto Bai Lan's face. She asked in disbelief. Who did you say? Pan Jinlian. Bai Lan seemed a little tipsy as she looked at Gu Mingming blankly. She reiterated, yes, Pan Jinlian. Big sister, I studied in primary school after all. Don't lie to me. Gu Mingming didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Even if she was busy working and did not study much, it was impossible for her not to recognize Pan Jinlian. She was not a good teaching material. Bai Lan waved a finger in front of Gu Mingming, making a no gesture. She said, listen to me. Pan Jinlian, tell us what? Burp. I remember now. Pan Jinlian told us that men, if you like them, keep them. If you don't like them, poison them to death and replace them. Simple and straightforward. Right, but look at your great Buddha. Does he look like someone who can force poison down his throat? Nope. Not at all. Gu Mingming was speechless. She subconsciously glanced at Snake, only to see him playing with her hair with a forced smile. He whispered into her ear in a voice that only the two of them could hear. I will definitely drink the poison you gave me in one gulp. But poison is useless against me. Gu Mingming treated it as a joke. She elbowed him and shook her head with a smile. She turned to Bai Lan, only to see Bai Lan counting with her second finger. Who is the second case? It's Wu Zetian. Wu Zetian? What did Wu Zetian have to do with love? Wasn't she most famous for becoming the emperor? Bai Lan poked Gu Mingming's head with a look at you don't know anything expression. She continued. Wu Zetian told us that men should be kept if they are obedient. If they don't understand, then kill them. If you can fight, try not to make a ruckus. Gu Mingming. Was that so? I did not study much, don't lie to me. Bai Lan raised her third finger and laughed. Case number 3 Xuanzang. Gu Mingming's eyes almost popped out as she shook Bai Lan's shoulders. Sister, wake up. Xuanzang is a man and a monk at that. He has nothing to do with love. Bai Lan shook her head and said, You're such an inexperienced little girl. Why are you so naive? Why are you so naive? Gu Mingming looked at Bai Lan in confusion, but Bai Lan continued. Tell me, why did so many fairies fight to marry Tripitaka in Journey to the West? Why? Gu Mingming thought for a while and said, Tripitaka is handsome? Bai Lan shook her head. Because Xuanzang is delicious and nutritious. So after we get married, we can live. If we can't, we can still eat. Gu Mingming felt that there was nothing wrong with this logic. He slapped his thigh and laughed heartily. Bai Lan suddenly stopped laughing. She snatched Gu Mingming from Snakel's arms and hugged her. Then she wailed. But why did you have to choose such a powerful man? If he bullies you one day, he can bully you to death. And there might not be anyone in the entire city who would dare to collect our corpses. So Bai Lan was still worried about her. Chapter 1290. Bai Lan suddenly stopped crying. She stared at Gu Mingming for a long time before nodding. That's true. Gu Mingming did not know whether to laugh or cry at Bai Lan's words. Her reply made Gu Mingming very flustered. Bai Lan sniffled. It's all right, girl, don't be afraid. If this grandson bullies you one day, I will protect you even if I die. Snake did not say a word. He just wrapped his arm around Gu Mingming's waist and carried her back into his arms before leaving. With the previous experience, Zhang Jincheng and the rest were not surprised by his sudden departure. They only held back the crying and throwing a tantrum by Lan to stop her from chasing after Gu Mingming. Snake had already reached his limit today. If Bai Lan continued to chase after Gu Mingming and become a third wheel, Snake might just kill her. Back at the villa, Snake immediately pressed Gu Mingming onto the bed and kissed her lips without any explanation. Gu Mingming struggled for a while before giving up. She wrapped her arms around Snake's neck and kissed him affectionately. Getting Gu Mingming's response, Snake became even more brazen. The kiss lasted for a long time, so long that Gu Mingming was almost out of breath. Snake then released her. He gritted his teeth. Why should we die together? Even if you die, you should die in my arms. I will protect you. Gu Mingming was stunned for a long time before she realized that Snake was referring to Bai Lan. She chuckled. Bailan just drank too much. It's just words. Why take it so seriously? But she said I will bully you. Snake frowned. He was very bothered. Gu Mingming retorted. Then will you bully me? Snake's gaze darkened and his lips curled up slightly. Maybe in a specific place, like on the bed? Gu Mingming blushed. She pushed Snake. Don't fool around. Snake did not cross the line. He just hugged Gu Mingming and kissed her to his heart's content. Then he reluctantly watched her enter the bathroom to shower. Meanwhile, he sat on the bed and listened to the sound of the water in the bathroom. It was as if he was torturing himself. He did not want to step back from this room. When Gu Mingming came out of the bathroom in her pajamas, she gave Snake a meaningful smile. Gu Mingming lowered her head to look at her cartoon-like top and bottom sleepiness. This was definitely the ultimate weapon to kill off any ambiguous atmosphere. Unless Snake'll had a special fetish, he would never misunderstand that this set of sleepiness had any ulterior motives or hints. But Gu Mingming did not know that in Snake's eyes, all he saw was a fresh and tender Gu Mingming who was still emitting steam. For example, if you were hungry and bought a meat bun for breakfast, would you care about the color of the advertisement printed on the plastic of the bun? Tuming, why don't we put the wedding on the agenda? Gu Mingming was shocked. Even though she had never been in a relationship before, Gu Mingming still had the heart of a young girl. She had imagined countless marriage proposals, but never did she expect that one day, when she pushed open the door of the bathroom, she would see a man with green eyes saying the word marriage to her, who was wearing cartoon pajamas. Chapter 1291. The next day was Monday and school was in session as usual. Snake kept his formal attire and put on the same matching outfit as Gu Mingming. Gu Mingming felt a little shy. After all, they were still in school. Wouldn't it be too high profile for them to dress like this? But Snake said, "Silly girl, I can't wait for the whole world to know that we are a couple, so that those people won't know what's good for them and have designs on you." Gu Mingming smiled and said, "You are the most popular person in the school. There will definitely be more people who have designs on you than on me." Snake kissed Gu Mingming's little mouth and said, "I will keep my chastity for you." Gu Mingming blushed and felt dizzy. Combined with his self-talk and self-denial of his proposal last night, this sentence sounded even more meaningful to Gu Mingming. After reaching school, Gu Mingming saw the results list on the bulletin board, and remembered that today was the day the mock test results were announced. So she squeezed her way over anxiously. Haha, there was no doubt that Snake was first in the year. But wait a minute. Shouldn't Snake be in his second year? Why was he in the first year's list? Gu Mingming turned to look at Snake with a face full of confusion. Snake chuckled and said, "I entered school a year earlier to be your Prince Charming Senior. But now, since I am your boyfriend, I should be by your side all the time. So I stayed back a year to accompany you." Snake placed his large hand on Gu Mingming's shoulder and leaned against her lazily. He tilted his head and smiled at her, asking, "Are you touched? Kiss me if you're touched." "MMM." Gu Mingming blushed and looked around. There were too many people around and Gu Mingming really could not bring herself to kiss him. Snake saw her hesitation and so pinched her little chin and pecked her on the mouth, saying, "You should fight for your own benefits." Gu Mingming was dazzled by Snake's smile. How could there be such a good-looking person in this world? He was so exquisite that he seemed like a character that only existed in cartoons. And he was her boyfriend. Because of Snake, Gu Mingming had even forgotten to check her own results. The preparatory bell had already rung and Snake pulled Gu Mingming's hand into the classroom. The morning breeze carried the scent of books around them. As Snake'll was too dazzling, Gu Mingming could not see anything else apart from him. She just let herself be led by him into the classroom in a daze, and sat at the back near the corner. She spent the entire lesson in a daze, with waves of numbness coming from her palms. Until the end of the lesson, someone stood at the door and shouted, "Gu Mingming, there's a guy at the school entrance looking for you." Looking for me? Gu Mingming was quite surprised. Who would come to school to look for her? But Snake was focused on another important point. Male? Gu Mingming shook her head, indicating that she did not know either. Snake hugged Gu Mingming's shoulders and said, Since you don't know, you don't have to bother about it. Gu Mingming felt that it was not a good idea, but when she said that she wanted to go take a look, Snake's face was so cold that ice could form, so she could only give up. But halfway through the second lesson, the faculty had suddenly knocked on the door and waved at Gu Mingming, saying, "Gu Mingming, come out for a while." Chapter 1292. At the end of the school corridor, there was a man standing by the window. His back was hunched and he looked a little down and out. Gu Mingming was stunned for a long time. She did not go near or leave. She just stood there as if the whole world had stopped. The blood in her body froze and her hands were frighteningly cold. Snake frowned and looked at Gu Mingming, asking, "What's wrong? Are you not feeling well?" Gu Mingming's teeth could not stop chattering and her pupils were shaking violently. She bit her lower lip tightly and could not say a word. She just stared straight at the man in front of her. The master of the school left after exchanging a few words with the man. The man walked to Gu Mingming and glanced at Snake, who was holding hands with Gu Mingming. He smiled and said, "Mingming, aren't you going to introduce him to your father?" "There's no need." Gu Mingming's voice was trembling. She could not tell if it was from fear or hatred. "Nonsense." The man put on a stern face and said with the air of a father, "I am your father. Shouldn't you inform me that you have a boyfriend?" "Father? Ha!" When she was 3 years old, she divorced her mother because the woman she had an affair with got pregnant. In order to monopolize the property, he fought for custody and forced her mother to leave the family with nothing. Her mother chose to give in so that she could receive better care. In the end, the third party gave birth to a daughter the next year. This man who called himself father started to beat and kick Gu Mingming, saying that she was unlucky and caused the son in the third party's womb to become a daughter. Then the third party sent Gu Mingming's mother a photo of Gu Mingming being beaten, till she was on the brink of death. He threatened that if she did not bring this burden away, the child who ran around randomly might get into a car accident again. Her mother's heart ached for Gu Mingming, and she brought her away without a care in the world. Since then, this man whom she had never seen again was now using the air of a father to ask her why she did not tell him that she had a boyfriend. Gu Mingming did not want to talk to him, not even a single word. She turned to leave, but the man growled behind her, "Is this the lesson that your incompetent mother taught you? Not answering your elders' questions and leaving just like that?" Gu Mingming bit her lower lip and did not say a word. Her mind was blank and she could not think of anything. She just wanted to stay further away from this man. Snake frowned. He did not like people treating Gu Mingming with such an attitude. In Gu Mingming's memory, this man called Daddy had never appeared from the age of 4 until she transmigrated to the beast world. So Snake did not take him seriously. After all, although he had hurt Gu Mingming, from a certain point of view, this man had an indelible contribution for Gu Mingming to appear in front of him. But now, from the looks of it, ever since Snake snatched Gu Mingming's love letter, the trajectory of her life had started to deviate. She would no longer transmigrate to the beast world to meet Elvis and Leah, but she would have to face the many malicious intents that this world had placed on her. Gu Mingming pulled Snake into the female washroom. Just as she was about to close the door, she realized that Snake was also there. Without saying a word, she just pushed Snake away a little before locking the toilet door from the inside. She curled up on the toilet bowl and hugged her knees as she cried her heart out. Chapter 1293. That man had not left yet. Seeing Gu Mingming running away, he even chased her to the entrance of the female toilet. He had been so aggressive as if he wanted to rush in and beat Gu Mingming up, but was blocked by Snake at the entrance. Without saying a word, Snake grabbed him by the neck. The hand that could hold a basketball with one hand grabbed the man's swollen neck and lifted upwards. The man's back rubbed against the wall and his feet gradually left the ground. "My woman is crying, looks like it's all your fault." A pair of dark green eyes shone with a cold light, exuding a sinister aura that did not match his age. The corners of his lips were clearly curled upwards, but it was like the lines of the Grim Reaper's scythe, exuding an arc that could take one's life. "You really have the guts to easily do something that even I don't dare to do." The man did not doubt that the green-eyed man in front of him would really strangle him to death. He struggled with all his might, but to no avail. He grabbed onto Snake's wrist tightly to fight for a bit of breathing space and said with his choked throat, "Murder is against the law." But Snake laughed, tilted his head and asked. She disappeared from the world after she was 4 years old, hiding like a mouse in the gutter to avoid the $500 of child support every month. Suddenly, you came knocking on my door. Wasn't it because you found out my identity that you pounced on me like a stray dog that smelled meat? Snake slowly approached the man and narrowed his eyes. You know, right? I am the royal family of F country, and have the title of a prince. As long as I say that you attacked me and I killed you in self-defense. Ha! Do you think the diplomats of your country will instigate a conflict between the two countries because of you, or hand over your mistress and illegitimate child to me for me to slaughter? I am her father. In the end, the man could only say these 4 words in a staccato manner. Snake snorted coldly and loosened his grip, causing the man to fall onto the ground with a thud. Then he lay there panting heavily and coughing violently. Snake looked down at the man from above and said coldly, "If you are sincerely apologizing and coaxing her to be happy and acknowledge you as her father, I don't mind spending some money to give her a facade of familial harmony. Unfortunately, you're too stupid. You've wasted the title of future father-in-law. Let me tell you, unless she takes the initiative to find you, otherwise, you will continue to hide in the gutter and be your rat. If she shed another tear, I'll let you see what the world looks like after dark. Get lost." The last word was said in a low voice. The man seemed to have been pardoned and scrambled away. Meanwhile, Snake entered the female bathroom and first turned on the tap to wash his hands. Then he knocked on the door of the cubicle Gu Mengmeng was in and said, "Even if the sky falls, there's still me. If you want to cry, cry in my arms. Let me be alone for a while. Sob sob. I beg you." Gu Mengmeng tried her best to suppress her sobs. She also felt very useless. They were strangers whom she had only met once in more than 10 years, but she was crying like this after just one meeting, and he did not say anything overboard. It seemed like she was making a mountain out of a molehill. But that stranger whom she had not seen for more than 10 years was her father. Chapter 1294. Seeing that Gu Mengmeng wasn't going to open the door, Snake knew that there was no point in trying to persuade her, so he took 2 steps back, ran up and jumped up. With one hand on the door frame, he flipped over and jumped in. Without another word, he hugged Gu Mengmeng in his arms and said helplessly, "For you I have done all sorts of embarrassing things. If others see the CEO of Monsieur Company climbing over the walls of the female toilet, tomorrow's headlines will probably be all about me." Gu Mengmeng's tears turned into laughter at Snake's teasing. Her tears were still on her face, but she still laughed out loud. Snake held Gu Mengmeng's face gently and said while wiping away her tears, "TSK, you were already ugly, but now that you're crying, you're even uglier." Gu Mengmeng was stunned. She immediately covered her face with both hands and said, "That's why I told you not to come in. Let me be alone for a while." Which girl didn't want to maintain their best image in front of the person they liked? Especially when the other party was someone as perfect as Snake. Even if she tried her best, she would not be able to match up to him. Now that she was crying so badly, she was even more unworthy of him. Gu Mengmeng was actually very bothered by Snake's disdain. But Snake grabbed her hands and placed them on the back of his waist. Then he went downstairs and pulled Gu Mengmeng into his arms. He supported the back of her head with one hand and pressed it against his chest. He smiled and said, "Let you be alone? That won't do. If you can't even lean against my chest when you cry, then what's the point of having me as your boyfriend? But ugly, you'll despise me. No matter how ugly you are, you're still my woman." Snake kissed the top of Gu Mengmeng's head and said, "So, I will despise you while loving you more." Gu Mengmeng's heart melted. She hugged Snake in his arms and slowly calmed her emotions. The bell signaling the end of class rang, and the female students walked in groups of 2s and 3s. Snake wanted to go out but was stopped by Gu Mengmeng. If she were to walk out of the ladies' toilet with Snake in such a situation, who knew what kind of indecent rumors would spread about them? Did you see Gu Mengmeng's results? She's ranked 429th. Ha, There are only 450 people in the entire cohort, and she's actually ranked 429th? A girl's tone was full of ridicule. Gu Mingming blushed. In the morning, she had been staring at Snake's name in a daze and did not notice her own results. That's right. She wondered what Snake saw in her. He doesn't look outstanding, doesn't speak well, doesn't have a family background, and even his studies are a mess. What kind of results are those? Even if you made a mistake and chose C, you shouldn't have gotten this result, right? Heh, maybe he's a top student? Otherwise, how could he perfectly avoid all the correct answers? I was pretending to be dumb on purpose, so that I could get closer to Snake. Senior, I don't know how to answer this question. Can you please teach me? The girls purposely pinched their throats and used an artificial voice to imagine Gu Mingming and Snake's conversation, before bursting into laughter outside. Gu Mingming bit her lower lip and did not say a word. Snake, on the other hand, could not take it anymore. He directly pushed open the door and walked out. He stared coldly at the gaping girls and said, "What does my Tumming's results have to do with you?" In an instant, the female toilet seemed to have frozen over. Everyone froze and even stopped breathing in shock. Chapter 1295. The white mist gradually gathered. The beast deity sighed and said, "It's all right. I am your real father." Gu Mingming now understood why the beast deity treated Elvis that way from the start. She also understood why he kept emphasizing that he would back her up. It was because he was afraid that she would break down when she saw the scene of her father knocking on her door in that world. Did he feel wronged? Actually, there was still a little. So when that Gu Mingming was crying in the toilet, this Gu Mingming was also crying in Elvis's arms. Perhaps she still had some expectations for kinship. Yes. Gu Mingming did not want more people to worry for her, so she forced a smile and calmed herself down. After taking a few deep breaths, Gu Mingming felt that she had adjusted her state of mind. Then she smiled at the beast deity. "Father, I've finished watching the television series. Where's my pocket money?" The beast deity stroked Gu Mingming's hair dotingly and indulgently. "Say it, what do you want to ask?" Gu Mingming chuckled and pointed at the red spider lily on Elvis's chest, saying, "After I returned from the Mecca desert, I seem to have forgotten something. I clearly obtained the heart of the desert, and I'm very sure that I obtained it non-violently, but I just can't remember." The beast deity smiled and said, "The person you have forgotten is someone who does not belong to the beast world. It's useless to remember. As long as the result is good, it's fine." Gu Mingming understood that no one would be able to get the beast deity to reveal anything he did not want to, so she did not persist and only said, "Then father, do you know who the great lord that Gregory mentioned is?" The beast deity nodded and replied, "It was one of Wang Xiaoxin's partners. He guarded a path for her to return home for 1,000 years after her death. His identity was special. He was born heartless, so although they were partners, Wang Xiaoxin did not have his mark on her. As a result, many people thought that he was a male that was abandoned by Wang Xiaoxin, but that was not the case. He was a natural stray beast, a transcendent existence in the beast world. How should I put it? Oh, that's right. Let me quote a line from a movie I watched 2 days ago. It's if he becomes Buddha, there will be no demons in the world. If he becomes a demon, there will be nothing Buddha can do. So powerful? The great sage heaven's equal? Gu Mingming instinctively replied. The beast god nodded and chuckled. You can say that. Because I don't have a heart, I don't have any concept of good and evil, right and wrong. Everything I do is based on my whims. In his entire life, he only liked Wang Xiaoxin. Oh, then the engagement between the vulture tribe and him. The beast deity chuckled as he glanced at Elvis. Then he retracted his gaze and said, Wang Xiaoxin from 1,000 years ago. I guess that you would be the successor as the messenger of the beast deity 1,000 years later. I also guessed that you would go to the Mecca desert to retrieve the heart of the desert. But I didn't expect that you wouldn't use the heart of the desert on yourself, but Gu Mingming facepalmed and said, So Wang Xiaoxin wanted to arrange my marriage 1,000 years ago and introduce a bird man to be my husband, right? Chapter 1296. So that's the case. No wonder Gregory behaved like a foolishly loyal general when he mentioned that great lord. So he is indebted to him. As Gu Mingming spoke, she looked up at the beast deity and said, "But what do we do now? Gregory refused to bring me up the Mota Mountains. Dad, do you have something like an anywhere door? Can you send me straight to the top of the mountain?" The beast deity smiled helplessly. "I'm the beast deity, not Doraemon." Gu Mingming hung her head and said, "But Gregory said that Mota Mountains are extremely difficult to climb. Father, why don't you watch over me when I climb, and catch me if I fall off?" Gu Mingming lowered her head. The beast deity was speechless. He looked at Gu Mingming and shook his head with a bitter smile. "Child, why can't you understand?" Gu Mingming was confused by his evaluation. The beast deity asked, "Kiss of the ocean, what did you get?" "Pearl. Anything else?" the beast god asked patiently. Gu Mingming thought for a while, and her eyes lit up. "Snake venom." The beast deity nodded and asked, "Soul of the forest, what did you obtain?" "Snake blood." The beast deity gave a mysterious smile and glanced at Elvis. "Then the heart of the desert. Whose heart is it?" Gu Mingming was taken aback. Will's." The beast deity nodded approvingly. "You are worth teaching." Gu Mingming seemed to have thought of something, but she did not really understand it. It felt like she just could not grasp the main point. The beast deity rubbed Gu Mingming's little head and said, "It's all right, don't worry too much. You will naturally understand when you gather all 7 treasures." "What do you mean?" Gu Mingming was confused. The beast deity was silent for a moment before he said, "I think that fellow Gregory is actually not bad. If you like him, you might as well accept him. If she didn't have any feelings for him, as long as she didn't hate him, she could stay and interact with him. But if you really don't like it, then forget about the engagement from 1,000 years ago. There will always be a way out. Even if there is no way out, you still have your father, right?" Gu Mingming thought about it and agreed. She did not harp on the matter of Mota Mountains anymore and continued to ask, "Dad, actually, there's something else I want to ask." "Huh?" The beast deity did not seem surprised. He just looked at Gu Mingming calmly, waiting for her to speak. Gu Mingming said, "Ever since I returned from the Mecca Desert, the stray beasts seem to be very afraid of me. Even little shit. Even Wabi started to hide from me and tremble when they see me." The beast deity chuckled. "What do you think will happen to the wolf beasts if you kill Elvis?" Gu Mingming's face was filled with shock. "What kind of example is that? I won't murder my husband." The beast deity smiled and shook his head. "All right, let's put it another way. If another powerful beast king killed Elvis, what do you think the wolf beasts would do?" Gu Mingming blurted out, "Revenge." The beast deity shook his head and said, "No, they will retreat and flee upon hearing the news." Gu Mingming froze. "So father, you mean that I killed the leader of the stray beasts? I killed Cole in the Mecca Desert?" The beast deity laughed contemptuously. "How is Cole the leader of the stray beasts? It was just a flea. You killed an extremely important person." Gu Mingming's face fell. She felt an inexplicable fear towards something that she had no memory of. Chapter 1297. Gu Mingming felt that the beast deity's words did not comfort her at all. Strictly speaking, there were 3 people who had died in her hands in the beast world. The first was Nina. She had ordered him to be killed and she did not regret it. The second was Snake. She did not kill him, but he had died for her. After that, she gained 1,000 years of memories for no reason. This memory tormented her until she was mentally and physically exhausted. The third was, who was it? He had died in her hands. From what the beast deity said, she had done it herself. But she had no recollection of it at all. It was the complete opposite of what happened to Snake. Who the hell would do good every day be killing people? The beast deity patted Gu Mingming's shoulder. Living a little longer may be a blessing, but living for too long is a form of punishment. It was the same for Snake. It is the same for that person. You ended their lives. To them, it is a form of release. If one day, you recall what happened then, you will know that I will not lie to you. Gu Mingming knew that there was no point in being distressed. She could only sigh in resignation. Father, what should we do now? Wabiai is always afraid of me. The beast deity squatted down and looked into Gu Mingming's eyes. Very simple. Give him a drop of your blood, and he will not be afraid of you. Gu Mingming looked at the beast deity doubtfully. Just like that. The beast deity nodded. Yeah, just like that. Don't you know? Deities cannot lie. Gu Mingming nodded with a smile. All right, father. I will go back first. I took too long this time. I am afraid Leah will be worried. The beast deity kissed Gu Mingming's forehead with a smile. Be good and go back. I will watch some good television dramas during this period of time. I will learn how to deal with my son-in-law. With that, the beast deity turned to smile at Elvis. You are welcome to accompany Gu Mingming back to her home again. Then it was a free fall. Gu Mingming was already used to this feeling of falling. But Elvis was clearly very nervous. He hugged Gu Mingming tightly the entire time, as if he was afraid that Gu Mingming would be blown away by the wind. Opening his eyes suddenly, he saw that Gu Mingming was still in his arms and his heart slowly calmed down. Gu Mingming was already used to switching back and forth, so she was not in a hurry to get up. She first opened her eyes to adjust to the light, before slowly sitting up. Leah had already prepared a cup of water, and placed it in front of Gu Mingming. He watched her drink while saying to Elvis, "Let me carry you, you should also drink some water to moisten your throat." Elvis's throat was extremely dry, so he did not reject and handed Gu Mingming over to Leah, while he went to the side of the water tank to scoop up some water and gulped it down. Where's Wabiai? The first thing Gu Mingming asked was little shit. She wanted to quickly resolve the matter of little shit being afraid of her. Leah kissed Gu Mingming's forehead and said, "It's hanging on the tree outside the house. He doesn't dare to come in, and is worried about me taking care of the two of you alone, so he has been guarding the door." Gu Mingming said, "Ask him to come in. I have a way to solve the problem of him being afraid of me." Leah chuckled and shouted at the top of his lungs, "Ming Ming Ming Ming, what happened to you?" Chapter 1298. Gu Mingming ignored the fight between Wabiai and Leah. She quickly bit her finger and poked it into Wabiai's mouth. Wabiai jumped in fright and turned to look at Gu Mingming in shock. He had no idea what was going on, but when a faint sweetness spread through his mouth, Wabiai's eyes widened and his body stiffened. He took a step back and pointed at Gu Mingming. You. I didn't bite you." Gu Mingming looked at him retreating to the corner of the wall, looking like a servant girl who had been forced by her husband. She couldn't help but laugh. "Hey little shit. Come here." "I won't." Wabiai crossed his arms and glared at Gu Mingming. He had never imagined that he would taste Gu Mingming's blood one day. How was he going to explain this to Snake? He had promised to protect her, but now there was her blood in his mouth. There was no way he could explain this. Gu Mingming patiently said gently, "Try to come closer to me. Come on." Wabiai shook his head and resisted with all his might. Gu Mingming's face darkened. "You seem to have forgotten that I am the Snake King." Yes, ever since the mark on the back of Gu Mingming's neck changed from Snake's personal protection mark to the family's protection mark, Gu Mingming was the new Snake King. But she had ordered the Snake Clan to continue living in the Snake King Valley, and didn't have to serve her. So she wasn't surrounded by huskies like Elvis. Wabiai was taken aback. He said reluctantly, "Iskay, you even learned how to bully the snake." Gu Mingming couldn't keep up her gentle facade. She arched one leg and rested her arm on her knee. She crooked her finger. "Since you know I am bullying the snake, hurry over. Why must I use my status as the Beast King to suppress you? TSK, hurry up." Wabiai dawdled over to Gu Mingming with a look of disdain. "I have to come over just because you asked me to. Do I not want my face? Just you wait. When I break through the Beast King bloodline, I will kill you." Gu Mingming stood up from the bed and jumped high to hook her arms around Wabiai's neck. "You dare to talk back to me like this? Looks like you are really not afraid of me, right?" Wabiai was also taken aback by Gu Mingming's words. He turned around abruptly to look at her, his hands clutching her shoulders in a death grip from the agitation. The corners of his mouth widened until his 2 rows of pearly white teeth were all exposed to the guests. Gu Mingming. I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of you. Gu Mingming was about to fall apart from Wabiai's shaking. She felt so dizzy and nauseous. Zai. It hurts. Gu Mingming raised her hand and slapped Wabiai's head. Wabiai was sent flying into the corner of the wall. Gu Mingming rubbed her shoulder, which had turned red from Wabiai's grip, as she slowly walked over. She squatted beside Wabiai and smiled from the bottom of her heart. She reached out a hand in front of Wabiai. Welcome back. Wabiai reached out to hold Gu Mingming's little hand. He didn't stand up, but just pulled her into his arms with all his might. He couldn't calm his emotions as his throat tightened, and his entire body trembled uncontrollably. Chapter 1299. Gu Mingming allowed Wabiai to hug her with all his might, like a willful child hugging a toy he had lost and found. There was no hint of intimacy between a man and a woman, just the fear of losing a friend or even a relative. Little shit. Thank you for being afraid of losing me, and thank you for coming back. But my waist is about to break. Can't you be a little gentler? Not only did Wabiai not loosen his grip, he hugged her even more tightly. He laughed out loud. Gentle my ass. I will be the Snake King if I strangle you to death. Scram. Gu Mingming raised her hand to give Wabiai another slap, causing him to fall to the ground. Wabiai sprawled on the ground, twitching, not even lifting his face. Gu Mingming felt a little guilty. Are you serious? Did you become epileptic from being beaten? Wabiai shook his head but didn't say a word. Gu Mingming squatted there in confusion. She poked Wabiai with a finger and asked worriedly, Did I hit you too hard? Are you alright? Scram, don't bother me. Let me lie here for a while. Gu Mingming was taken aback. Damn, why did he sound like he was crying? She grabbed Wabiai's hair and lifted his head up. Gu Mingming looked at Wabiai in shock. A little shit, you are actually crying. I am not crying. Don't you slander me. Since he had already been seen, Wabiai didn't bother burying his face anymore. He pulled Gu Mingming back into his arms. I thought I would never be able to fight with you again in this lifetime. Gu Mingming's heart warmed. She hugged Wabiai back and gently patted his back. If he continued to be so afraid of her and hide far away from her, he would never be able to fight with her again. There was a relationship that was forged through fighting. The more they fought, the better the relationship would be. This relationship was called Wabiai and Gu Mingming. Wabiai started feeling awkward after he calmed down. He had lived for 800 years, and was second only to Snake in the Beast world in terms of being feared by others. But he was actually beaten to tears by a little female. Although Gu Mingming's family of 3 did not mention this matter, the way Leah and Elvis looked at him was really enough. Wabiai raised half his body and rushed towards Elvis. Little wolf, I heard that you have become a beast king. Come and fight with me to loosen up my muscles. Elvis waved his hand. The wild wolves that were baring their teeth and about to pounce on Wabiai suppressed the low growls coming from their throats and maintained a posture that was ready to leap and attack at any moment. They took 2 steps back, but their eyes were still fixed on Wabiai, guarding against his every move. Elvis carried Gu Mingming and said, I can't fight with you now. Why? Wabiai was displeased. Elvis tidied the stray hair on Gu Mingming's forehead and said, If I accidentally kill you, Xiao Meng will be upset. I won't do anything that will upset Xiao Meng. Wabiai narrowed his eyes and flashed his poisonous fangs. Was he being looked down upon by this little wolf? Right. He swung his snake tail at Elvis without using any strength. Elvis leaped backwards easily and did not get angry. He just said softly, Those wooden barrels over there are filled with Xiao Meng's grape wine. Xiao Meng will definitely be angry if you ruin it. Wabiai's tail forcefully stopped a step away from the barrel. He turned around and sneered. Fight with me or I will ruin this broken barrel. Chapter 1300. Wabiai gritted his teeth. Little wolf pup, you have been corrupted. This couple was actually using the same trick to threaten him. Damn it. They were both beast kings and were more powerful than him. He was the one being bullied all the time. She sighed. The truth was nothing in Snake's eyes. As long as Gu Mengmeng opened her mouth, even if she said fishes were flying in the sky and birds were swimming in the water, Snake would never hesitate to believe her. Elvis smiled. Thank you for your compliment. While Gu Mengmeng was settling Wabiai's matter, Leah had already prepared a pot of food. He called Gu Mengmeng and Elvis out to eat. Besides Gu Mengmeng's family of 3, there was also Wabiai, Ian, Gregory, and the unshakable Oriton. Because of Gregory's presence, no one mentioned anything about the news Gu Mengmeng had received from the beast deity. After all, Gregory was not one of them. Although he liked Gu Mengmeng, he was not someone who could share information with Wabiai, Ian, and Oriton. Gu Mengmeng asked as she ate, "How long did I sleep this time?" Lee's gaze drifted to Gregory. 5 days. 5 days, Gu Mengmeng nodded. Gregory, so you are leaving today? Gregory's chest tightened. He nodded with much difficulty. Actually, there was a moment when he almost blurted out that his injuries had not healed, and he wanted to stay for 2 more days to recuperate. But the males of the vulture tribe had an inextinguishable pride in their bones. Although Gu Mengmeng had pushed him a little too hard that day, he had recovered after recuperating for 3 days. He was unwilling to show weakness in front of Gu Mengmeng, and even more unwilling to lie to her. So, have you thought of a reason to convince me to bring you up the mountain? Gregory's gaze deepened. His seemingly calm eyes hid a surging anticipation. Gu Mengmeng shook her head. Her gaze landed on Elvis's chest. She smiled. The marriage agreement between the vulture tribe and that great lord seems to be impossible to fulfill. I've met with that lord, and he asked me to tell you that the engagement is over. From today onwards, the leader of your vulture tribe is free to marry. You don't have to guard that engagement to the death, and be lonely for the rest of your lives. Gregory's face carried a tinge of disappointment and desolation. To the vulture tribe, that engagement was a promise, but also a shackle. Now that it had been undone, he did not feel as if a heavy burden had been lifted from his shoulders. Could he pursue Gu Mengmeng now that he was no longer engaged? But why didn't he feel the slightest bit of joy? I understand now. The difficulties between him and her had never been because of that engagement. He was about to leave, and she didn't even try to stop him. He was prepared. No matter how ridiculous her excuse was, as long as she revealed even the slightest desire for him to stay or for him to take her away, he would agree. However, she actually shook her head so calmly and even gave him a release, allowing him to marry freely. You don't want the love of the sky? Gregory asked softly. Gu Mengmeng smiled and said, Yes, of course. Without that thing, my man won't let me bear children. Gregory felt as if his heart had been sliced by a small knife. So she had put in so much effort to find the love of the sky just so she could bear children for her partner. Chapter 1301. Gregory felt that he should turn around and fly back to the Mota Mountains in a carefree manner, leaving Gu Mengmeng with a proud and aloof back view and an aloof image. As long as he left, she would never be able to ascend the Mota Mountains and obtain the love of the sky. She would also not be able to bear the children of those 2 males. It was a childish idea, but Grace just couldn't suppress the sour taste that kept bubbling up in her heart. But thinking was just thinking, he could not spread his wings. He clearly wanted to say, then I will leave, but when he opened his mouth he said, Then how do you intend to ascend the mountain? Gu Mengmeng held her cheek and thought for a while. Then she shook her head and said, I have not thought about it yet. Things will eventually sort themselves out. If there is really no other way, I will summon the beasts in the beast world to accompany me to be a foolish old man and dig out the mountain. Gregory's gaze froze and he asked softly with a frown, You are serious? Gu Mengmeng chuckled and said, Of course not serious. She took the rice from Elvis and swallowed it after chewing a few times. Then she said, I know what the Mota Mountains mean to the birds' tribe. How can I destroy the mountain for my own selfish desires? I was just saying it casually, don't take it seriously. Gregory's gaze dimmed for a moment. Actually, he wanted to say that if Gu Mengmeng was serious, then he would have a reason to give in. For the sake of the birds' tribe he could lower his head and say, I will bring you up the mountain, don't destroy the Mota Mountains. With such a dignified reason, Would he be able to cover up his dirty and selfish thoughts and stay by her side for a few more days? Gregory laughed bitterly in his heart. He did not expect that he would become so despicable in just a month's time. Then, I'll be going. Saying goodbye, Gregory sat on the same spot without moving an inch. Gu Mingming said, "Wait a moment." Gregory's eyes brightened instantly, and he could not hide his anticipation when he looked at Gu Mingming. Gu Mingming turned around and returned to the stone castle. She took out a beautiful feather fan and handed it to Gregory. She said, "I promised you that I will give you the first fan. Treat it as a parting gift. I wish you a pleasant journey." Gregory's fingertips felt slightly cold. He took the fan from Gu Mingming, and his eyes that had just lit up dimmed again. He nodded and said, "Thank you." In the end, she did not ask him to stay. Even though he knew that she needed him to go to Mota Mountains, she still let him go without hesitation. He had emphasized time and again that only the tribe leader of the vulture race would descend the mountain after receiving the Lord's notice. Now that the Lord was no longer around, he would be the last person to descend the mountain. He was her only hope to ascend the mountain. He had already said that he was important enough, but in her eyes, he was still as light as a feather. She even broke off the marriage contract, which blocked his excuse to go down the mountain again. What did she say last time? Ah, this fan was so beautiful. In the future, if he gave it to a female he liked, he might be able to get a wife back to Mota Mountains. But what could he do? The wife he wanted to abduct back to Mota Mountains did not seem to care about this fan, so she easily gave it to him as a parting gift. Goodbye. Gregory's gaze landed on Gu Mingming's face, and he could only say these two words in the end. Yeah, goodbye. Gu Mingming waved goodbye to Gregory, and did not say anything about asking him to stay. Chapter 1302. That Birdman is clearly interested in you. Why don't you take him in? Wabi sprawled lazily on the table. He picked up a small rock and threw it at Gu Mingming's head. Gu Mingming clutched her head and glared at Wabi. Are you courting death? How dare you throw a rock at me? Wabi grinned and nodded. Yes, I dare to throw a rock at you. Gu Mingming held her forehead. Wabi had yet to recover from the fact that he was no longer afraid of her. Provoking her had become his only method of getting close to her. The word dare had him bewitched. She rolled her eyes at Wabi and didn't harp on the little rock. Anyway, it wasn't really that painful, so Gu Mingming didn't mind. I know he likes me, so I can't make use of his feelings. Since I can't reciprocate, I can't let others misunderstand from the start. Gu Mingming glared at Leah and said, In the past I thought he would never like me, so I dared to let him wander around me. Who knew he would suddenly change his personality? Leah shook his head and said, Wabi picked up another small rock from the ground, and was about to throw it at Gu Mingming when she glared at him. This is too big. My head will break if you throw it at me. Wabi threw the pebble-sized rock aside resentfully. He twitched his lips. Beast King? So weak. Gu Mingming rolled her eyes at Wabi and ignored his provocation. She repeated what the beast deity had said to her in her dreams for everyone to hear. Wabi frowned at Elvis and then at Leah. TSK, you should have taken in that Birdman just now. You should have taken in a few more powerful males too. Gu Mingming looked at Wabi with a why are you courting death expression. You changed your profession to being a pimp? Wabi scoffed. You are the pimp. You pimp the entire tribe. Gu Mingming gave Wabi a look, indicating for him to look at Elvis's expression. Wabi glanced at Elvis. I have been by Snake's side for 800 years. Do you think I will be afraid of a mere newly crowned wolf king? There's nothing wrong with that. Wabi was a snake and Snake was the Snake King, so to Wabi, not only did Snake suppress him in terms of combat power, he was also the undefeatable and absolute king in terms of species. Wabi, who had not cowered even after being beaten up by Snake for 800 years, would definitely not be frightened by Elvis. Gu Mingming facepalmed and said, Little shit, don't disturb the harmony of my family, alright? Wabi said, It's not that I want to criticize you, but are you using all your ruthlessness on me? Why are you acting so cowardly when you see two useless people from your family? Gu Mingming slammed the table and roared. Just say what you want to say, don't attack me personally. Wabi said. Trash will always be trash. Why can't I say that? Seeing that Gu Mengmeng was about to lose her temper, Wabi gestured for her to stop and continued. According to the beast deity, you killed a strong stray beast in the Mecca desert. But weren't your two idiots there as well? Why do you have to do the rough work of killing people? No matter how I think about it, the only explanation is that these two idiots can't beat him. Damn it, males hiding behind their wives, what else can they be called if not trash? Gu Mingming chuckled and said, little shit. I remember that when I was in the Mecca desert, you were also there. Chapter 1303. With that, Elvis and Leah became even more depressed. Yeah, both of them were around, so why did Gu Mingming have to kill someone? So King aggrieved. Wabi continued. That's why partners must have quality and quantity. Although Little Wolf is a beast king now, he is not a three-headed, six-armed man. There will always be times when he cannot take care of you. To ensure that you can be taken care of better, you should find a few more partners. That way, you won't have to do it yourself the next time you want to kill someone. Gu Mingming was about to suffocate from Wabi's anger. She scrunched her nose. I'm not a homicidal maniac. Why would I kill so many people? Wabi chuckled. It would be good if you were a homicidal maniac. At least you wouldn't look so unsettled just because you killed someone. It makes me angry. Gu Mingming was taken aback. She then understood that Wabi was saying those words because he was worried that she had killed someone during her amnesia. She smiled knowingly and nudged Wabi's shoulder. Actually, I don't have to find more partners to solve this problem. Don't I still have you? Wabi was soothed by Gu Mingming's words. His heart, liver, spleen, lungs and kidneys were all warmed up. He said with a smug expression. All right, seeing how pitiful you are and how your two partners are useless, tell me the next time you want to kill someone. Even if I have to turn the beast world upside down, I will kill him for you. Gu Mingming smiled and elbowed Wabi. My little shit is so reliable. Yes, Wabi had completely accepted being called little shit. Hearing Gu Mingming call him that, he didn't feel anything and even felt like laughing. Gu Mingming and Wabi's banter eased the tension at the table. But Li's expression remained grim. He scanned everyone at the table. No one is allowed to leak the fact that Mingming's blood can dispel the stray beast's fear of her. With that, Li's gaze landed on Ian's face. You can't tell this even to your partner. Then, Leah glanced at Oratin and said, whoever dares to leak a word about this will be put on my blacklist of clients that I will never contact again. Never to meet again was equivalent to saying goodbye to Li's culinary skills forever. Oratin's body trembled, and he said solemnly, don't worry, I won't say such things even in my dreams. Ian looked back at Leah with a sickly expression and said, it's useless even if you tell your partner. Mandy is just a brainless fan of Gu Mingming. In Mandy's eyes, Gu Mingming is a naive, innocent, and kind little fairy who had descended to the mortal world to undergo a calamity. Even the hair she lost was because she was worried about saving the world, and her farts were fragrant and clean. If I dared to say anything bad about Gu Mingming to her face, in her eyes, I would immediately become a vicious villain who obstructed Gu Mingming from achieving immortality and returning to the heavenly court. Leah chuckled. This little female Mandy has good taste. Ian was speechless. He sighed and looked at Gu Mingming. I heard that there was a cripple among the stray beasts that came to deliver grapes to you. If I'm not wrong, it should be Cole. It's a pity he didn't dare to enter Sauter. It seems like he was scared off by you. Gu Mingming, you are becoming more and more powerful. You can even scare perverts away. Remember to tell Mandy that I praised you today. Digression. The author's words. Chapter 1304. At the mention of Cole, Li's gaze darkened. As long as Cole knows that Wabi is not afraid of Mingming, he will understand that there is a way to overcome this fear. If he cannot get close to Mingming, he will definitely turn his attention to Wabi. Wabi lifted his eyelids nonchalantly. Come on, let's see if that broken body of his is enough for me to eat. Chishuan's life is still in his hands. He has nothing to fear. Leah shook his head gently and denied Wabiai's words. He just narrowed his long eyes and smiled coldly. Since he wants a solution, let's give him one. Wabiai nodded. Let's give him one. Wabiai sked. You have so many wolf cubs. What's the big deal if one or two die? Just because of Qixuan. How long are you going to be threatened by coal? Gu Mingming smacked Wabiai's head. Don't joke about such things. Fall out. Wabiai flexed his neck, which had been misplaced by Gu Mingming's smack. That's right. Look at the beast world. Which family can give birth to a litter of children, and all of them live to adulthood? That snake beast can lay over 10 to 20 eggs in a litter, but only 3 to 5 of them will survive to adulthood. Moreover, Qixuan is just a male cub, not a female. I don't know why you treasure him so much. TSK, you are the weird one. That is my flesh. His heart, liver, spleen, lungs and kidneys were all given by me. Why shouldn't I treasure him? I'm warning you, if you continue to say such things, we can't be friends anymore. Seeing that Gu Mingming was really about to get angry, Wabiai sked and didn't continue speaking. Snakes were naturally cold-blooded, and Wabiai really couldn't understand familial love. He had lived for 800 years, and the only two people he cared about were Elvis and Gu Mingming. Gu Mingming nudged Wabiai. When you find a female and give birth to a litter of snakes in the future, you will understand how I feel now. Wabiai rolled his eyes. If giving birth to a child will turn me into you, then I won't. When that time comes, I will be bullied by others. Just the thought of it pisses me off. Gu Mingming did not insist and just looked at Leah, asking, what kind of solution do you intend to give Cole? Leah chuckled. Stray beasts are afraid of you. As long as you get rid of your stray beast status, isn't it? Gu Mingming was confused. What do you mean? Leah glanced at Wabiai. As long as you say that you helped Wabiai remove his stray beast status and allowed him to mate with a female again, won't the problem be solved? Will it work? Wabiai is so cunning. Would he believe him? Gu Mingming was skeptical. Leah chuckled. With Peter's success story right there, he will believe it. Gu Mingming looked at Wabiai. Then where are we going to find a female to act with us? Leah shook his head and said, as long as it's an act, there will definitely be flaws, so. Are you serious? You want Wabiai, this old bachelor of 800 years, to fall in love with a female, and then get rid of his stray beast status like Peter? Gu Mingming's eyes widened. She really felt that the probability of this happening was even lower than the probability of a comet hitting the Earth. Chapter 1305. Leah looked at Gu Mingming's confused expression and found it extremely adorable. Hence, he cupped her little face and kissed it over and over again before continuing. To be able to move the heart of an old bachelor like Wabiai, it must be a unique female. Logically speaking, the best candidate should be you, because there is no one more beautiful than you in this world. It is natural for any male to fall in love with you. However, I don't want you to be the scapegoat, so I can only settle for the next best thing, and choose a very special and unverifiable female. Who? Gu Mingming was confused. Leah chuckled. Wang Xiaoxin. What the heck? Gu Mingming almost burst out laughing. Do you mean I should let Wabiai and Wang Xiaoxin have a ghost marriage? Leah shrugged his shoulders and chuckled. The messenger of the beast deity returned to the embrace of the beast deity after completing her mission. While you can travel between the beast world and the beast deity's world, so in theory you and Wang Xiaoxin should be able to meet each other in the beast deity's world. You always mention Wabiai in front of the beast deity, so it is reasonable for Wang Xiaoxin to be interested in him. Gu Mingming face-bombed. So I am a pimp, Leah chuckled. How can you say that you're pimping your friend out of kindness when you're trying to introduce him to a good man when he's all alone? Gu Mingming looked at Leah and gave him a thumbs up. I always thought I was good at bluffing, but you are even better than me. Leah kissed Gu Mingming's little face and said, that's why, if we're not a family, we won't enter the same house. Gu Mingming thought about it and shook her head. But Wang Xiaoxin is Snake's mother. Isn't the seniority a little too messy? Leah smiled slyly and said softly, just because she is Snake's mother beast, this matter fits Cole's perverted logic. Gu Mingming tilted her head and looked at Leah, confused. Leah continued to explain. Snake had already disappeared from the beast world. Wabi-ai had been suppressed by him for 800 years and had never won. After that, he no longer had the chance to turn the tables. But now, as long as he follows Wang Xiaoxin, he will be able to suppress Snake in terms of seniority. Cole will definitely like this feeling. Gu Mingming chuckled. She recalled what Bailan had said before. She had said that the husband she found in the future must be surnamed Wang and give birth to a son named Wang Yang. Her first love was called Wang Yang, but he cheated on her and broke up with her. She said that she didn't educate Wang Yang well when she was his girlfriend, so she would educate him again as his mother. Gu Mingming couldn't help but find it funny that the joke back then had now become Li's plan. She asked, "Will Cole believe it?" Leah did not answer but asked Wabi-ai instead. If you were given a chance to be Snake's father, would you do it? F***CK. Wabi-ai slammed the table and stood up without hesitation. Just the thought of Snake's angry face turning green in front of him made him feel inexplicably exhilarated. Leah gave Gu Mingming a C expression and she was speechless. She could only nod and say, "Then what?" Leah chuckled and said, "Cole has never loved anyone before. It is impossible for him to form a new contract like Peter did. Even if we take 10,000 steps back, if Cole really has some dirty tricks to rid himself of his stray beast status. Do you think he can withstand the backlash of a second mating contract?" Chapter 1306. After settling Cole's matter, their next target was the love of the sky on Mota Mountains. It was not wise to let Gregory go just like that, but Gu Mingming knew that the most unredeemable thing in this world was emotional debt, so she could not make use of other people's feelings for her. Back then, she was entangled with Leah because he was in her heart, and she could not bear to let him go. But now that she did not have Gregory in her heart, she naturally could not let others mislead her. But if she let Gregory go, how were they going to ascend the mountains now? "Let's go to Mota Mountains during the rainy season next year." Elvis hugged and kissed Gu Mingming. "Because of Gregory's matter, we have already wasted a month's time. If we don't stock up on food, we will not have a good winter. Don't you still want to visit Qixian and Canwu? Let's go to Zacharias this winter, all right?" Gu Mingming thought about it, then shook her head and said, "In the first year after you became the Wolf King, all the Wolf tribe members have been moving toward Sauter. You must stay here this winter to hold the fort, so that everyone in the Wolf tribe can rest assured." "What has it got to do with me whether they are at ease or not? I only care if you are happy." Gu Mingming's eyes were full of smiles. She gently caressed Elvis's chest. "Since you have become the king, you have to shoulder the responsibilities that you have to. They are people who will risk their lives to fight for your orders. You should at least give them some peace. Let's go to Mota Mountains after winter next year. We can also go to Zacharias to visit Qixian and Canwu. I believe our sons will not blame us." Elvis did not insist. He just nodded. "I will always listen to Xiaomeng." Ian had completed his mission and said that he wanted to return to St. Nazaire to accompany Mandy. Gu Mingming nodded in agreement. There was no reason for a newlywed couple to be separated just because she wanted a friend to accompany her. Ian took 2 steps forward before turning back. "Gu Mingming, can you make me one of the fans you gave Grace?" "Why? Are you using it to please Mandy?" Ian nodded and said, "I accidentally broke the cup you gave her earlier. I want to take that back to comfort her." Gu Mingming twitched her lips and said, "The feathers Gregory gave me are only enough to make 2. I gave one to him, and the other is with me. If you want it, catch me 12 Malatus and I will give you the one in my hand. Then, when I am free during winter, I will slowly paste a new one on myself." Gu Mingming's lips twitched. Ian was a little troubled. "Can I return you 20 Malati during the dry season next year? That bird's habitat is very far away. With my speed, it would take at least 2 days to make a round trip. I'm afraid that I won't be able to catch all 12 of them before winter arrives. By then, the mountain would be sealed by the snow and I wouldn't be able to make it back to St. Nazaire in time." Gu Mingming was taken aback. "We have to fly so far to catch Malati." Ian nodded. Gu Mingming frowned, feeling a little uncomfortable. She had never paid much attention to why Gregory only appeared once a day to deliver the malati and stay for a meal before immediately leaving again. At that time, she thought that he wanted to draw a clear line between them to prevent her from pestering him to bring her up Moda Mountains. So she did not ask much and did not want to cause any unnecessary misunderstandings. After knowing that Gregory liked her, Gu Mingming thought that he wanted to control his feelings for her and did not want to stay any longer. Now she knew that he had been traveling day and night to catch malati. Chapter 1307. What's the matter? Ian waved his hand in front of Gu Mingming's eyes. Are you giving it to me or not? Gu Mingming looked up and stared at Ian for a while, before standing up and returning to the house to take out the other feather fan. She handed it to Ian. Here, use this to coax Mandy. I don't need you to catch malati for me. This fan. I don't like it anymore. It was not that she didn't like it, but it was too burdensome. A man had helped her to catch a bird from afar, and he had never complained about the hardships along the way. It was fine if she didn't know about it, but now that she knew, she felt that she owed Gregory just by looking at this fan. It was a really bad feeling. Ian didn't know what Gu Mingming was thinking about. He didn't stand on ceremony and took the fan. I won't take advantage of you. I owe you a favor. Tell me if you want anything in the future. I will definitely return this favor. Gu Mingming waved her hands. Mandy is also my friend. It's nothing to give her something. Let's go. We've been out for so many days. I don't know how anxious Mandy is. Ian nodded and didn't say anything else. He flapped his wings and flew into the sky. He circled twice in the sky, leaving behind a bird's cry before flying off. In the next few days, Leah stayed at home to accompany Gu Mingming while Elvis led the wolf clan out to hunt. Because they could hunt with the Wolf King, the entire wolf clan was in high spirits. As a result, the wolf clan's prey was the most abundant in Sodor. This also made the wolf clan's reputation unparalleled. The Snow Fox clan came to look for Leah twice, hoping that the Ninth Highness could lead the Snow Fox clan to hunt together to compete with the wolf clan. However, Leah rejected them. The reason was simple. Elvis was stronger than him. If Elvis went out to hunt, there would be more prey. It was a good thing for the clan. He would never sacrifice Gu Mingming's winter meals for the Snow Fox clan's reputation. The Snow Fox clan was snubbed, but they couldn't do anything to Leah. Hence, the 16 tribes' reputation at the night campfire party gradually faded. The Wolf clan became the new star of the show with their fighting abilities. When Elvis was not at home, Gu Mingming spent most of her time at Sandy's place, chatting with her and teasing her 2 daughters-in-law and Sandy's 3 leopard cubs. The children grew really fast. The little guys who didn't even have teeth at first were now almost as big as adult cheetahs in the zoo. It was just that it was already more than a year old, but it had no intention of evolving. Gu Mingming had asked once and Sandy said that Huda and his brothers were special cases. Usually beasts would only start evolving at around 3 years old. So Joseph and his brothers were still young and there was no rush. Gu Mingming hugged Dodgy in her arms and asked Sandy while stroking her fur. I sent Bode out of Zacharias, and he has yet to return. I wonder if he can come back to spend the winter with you. Will you blame me for being nosy? Sandy shook his head and smiled. If Bode's strength doesn't increase, then he won't be able to keep his position in the family. I can't even thank you enough for pointing out a bright path for him. Why would I blame you? Gu Mingming heaved a sigh of relief and felt much more at ease. She then asked, Bode is not at home this year. You can have a nest of little bears with Colin this winter. Chapter 1308. Why? Did they request it? Gu Mingming frowned. Sandy smiled and replied, How would they dare to make any requests? They have been well behaved ever since you taught them a lesson the last time. But isn't this the purpose of the marriage alliance? If we want the wolf tribe to truly help Huda and Jiaoyu wholeheartedly, I, as the partner of the marriage alliance, must give birth to a litter of offspring for the wolf tribe. Only then can our relationship be truly confirmed. In the future, if you and Leah can give birth to a daughter, take my son from the wolf tribe as your partner. By then, Sauter will be truly united. Gu Mingming did not reply Sandy, because she could not force her own views on marriage onto Sandy. But she knew that if her daughter were to get married one day, it would definitely be because she liked the other party and not because of any damned unity. But Gu Mingming could not say these words to Sandy. Sandy's character had gradually matured because she had shouldered the responsibilities that should have been shouldered by Gu Mingming. And the reason why she had to bear these responsibilities for Gu Mingming was because she had stopped Colin, who was the messenger's guard, and did not allow Colin and Elvis to face off against the powerful forces of Sauter at that time. That bit of guilt had taken root in her heart, and she used all the resources she could to compensate for that guilt. No matter how many times Gu Mingming told her not to take that matter to heart, she had never blamed Sandy. But Sandy could not overcome the barrier in her heart. Whenever there was something that she could have done for Gu Mingming, but did not, she would be tormented by that guilt until she could not eat or sleep well. At the end of the day, she cared too much about Gu Mingming. In the evening, the people who had gone out to hunt gradually returned. Elvis was anxious to see Gu Mingming and naturally took the lead. The wild wolves sent the prey back to the stone castle first while Elvis went straight to Sandy's house to fetch her. Sandy's 7 partners followed closely behind Elvis. The 8 wolves galloped over in a menacing and awe-inspiring manner. When he stood in front of Gu Mingming, Elvis had already transformed into human form. He scooped Gu Mingming up from the stool and hugged her in his arms. He kissed her little face and said, "I missed you so much." During the days that Elvis had been out hunting, this was the first sentence he would say every day when he saw her. At first, Gu Mingming felt that he was too mushy, but now she was used to it. Hence, Gu Mingming hugged Elvis back and said, "It's been hard on you, I missed you too." The 7 wolves of the Sandy family were panting heavily when they finally regained their footing. Even though they were trying their best to suppress it, it was already extremely difficult for a level 4 orc to keep up with a Beast King's speed, let alone a level 3 orc. But even so, their eyes were still shining with excitement. The more powerful the king, the more powerful the race. The desire of males for power was endless. Just as Elvis was about to carry Gu Mingming away, he saw a yellow figure speeding towards them. It came to a sudden stop in front of Sandy, kicking up a cloud of dust. Gu Mingming fixed her eyes on it and smiled knowingly. "Hubby, let's go home." Gu Mingming patted Elvis's shoulder, indicating for him to leave. Elvis said, "Aren't you going to greet Bode?" Gu Mingming smiled knowingly and said, "Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Why should we stay and be the third wheel?" Absence makes the heart grow fonder? Elvis did not understand. Chapter 1309. Elvis understood and gave a knowing smile. He carried Gu Mingming and left quickly. When they returned to their own cave, they realized that there were 2 more people in the house. It was Qixuan and Kanwu, who were supposed to be in Zacharias. Gu Mingming was extremely surprised and overjoyed. She jumped down from Elvis's arms and hugged her 2 sons tightly. She grinned so widely that only her eyes could be seen. "Mum, we are here to see you." Kanwu laughed in a humming voice. Gu Mingming said, "Good, so good." Qixuan just smiled and allowed Gu Mingming to hold his arm as they entered the stone castle. Elvis shot a look at the wild wolf, who immediately went to the meeting room to call Hutta and Jiaoyu back. Once the 4 children returned home, Elvis and Leah could only be considered as murals. Already used to this kind of family status, Elvis could not be bothered to fight for attention with his 4 sons. So Leah turned to cook while Elvis cleaned up the day's prey and arranged them neatly. "Why are the 2 of you here?" Gu Mingming sat by the bed and looked at her 4 sons who were seated in a circle around her. She was in a great mood. Qixuan said, "When father-in-law came to Zacharias, he said that Mum might not have the time to visit us this year. Kanwu and I were afraid that you would miss us, so we came back to see you." As Qixuan said, he turned to look at Kanwu and said, "Don't you have something to tell Mum?" Kanwu nodded and grinned at Gu Mingming with his big white teeth. "Mum, I have leveled up. 2nd level orc." Gu Mingming was overjoyed. She hugged Kanwu's head and kissed him repeatedly. "My Kanwu is so powerful." Qixuan chuckled. "Mum, you are favoring one over the other. You didn't treat me like this when I leveled up." Upon hearing that, Gu Mingming pounced at him without another word. But Qixin caught her and said, Don't. I was just saying casually. If you really kiss me, I am afraid I won't be able to walk out of this stone castle. Why? Gu Mingming did not understand. Qixin glanced at the busy Elvis and Leah. It's not like you don't know how jealous your partner is. After being teased by her sons, Gu Mingming pinched Qixuan's face without getting angry. She just returned to her original spot and smiled at her 4 sons. Hada rubbed his nose and said, As the eldest, I let my younger brothers take the lead. Looks like I have to work hard too. Jiaoyu, however, looked unconcerned as he said, Kanwu has always walked the path of brute force. It is normal for him to accumulate battle experience quickly. Don't compare yourself to him. He's just a brute. Kanwu straightened his neck and said, Do you want to fight with this boorish fellow? Jiaoyu smiled as he shook his head and said, It's so boring to fight with a first-level beast like me. To the left of the door, there's a level 4 snow fox cooking. To the right of the door, there's a level 5 snake hanging on the tree. Upstairs, there's a beast king sorting out the prey. Oh, there's a female beast king sitting in front of you. If you're really capable, challenge them to a fight. Kanwu didn't back down and said, Apart from my mother, I will definitely challenge the rest and I will definitely win. Why apart from Mummy? Jiaoyu smiled and asked, Why are you sexist? Kanwu raised his head and said, How is that possible? I won't discriminate against Mummy. I'm just afraid she will cry if she loses. Chapter 13:10. Gu Mingming wrapped her arms around Elvis's neck and said proudly, How is it? Isn't my son full of ambition? His words were powerful and impassioned. Too manly. As long as Gu Mingming was happy, Elvis would naturally go along with what she said. He nodded and said, Yeah, very imposing. Although Kanwu had always had a strained relationship with Elvis, which son did not want to receive his father's approval? So although Elvis's compliment was mostly to please Gu Mingming, it was a great affirmation for Kanwu. Kanwu, tell Mummy, how did you level up? Gu Mingming asked. Kanwu glanced at Qixin and smiled. Oh, second brother said that in order to raise the overall strength of the tribe, he often arranged for beastmen of the same level to spar with each other. After fighting a lot, he would level up. Upon hearing that, Gu Mingming felt that this was a good idea. She turned to look at Leah. Before she could speak, Leah continued Gu Mingming's words. We can use this method back in St. Nazaire, but not in Sauter for now. Gu Mingming thought about it and agreed. Sauter's 3 forces were all trying to suppress the other 2. The previous night campfire party was so chaotic that it could almost be compared to empresses in the palace. If it was a normal sparring session, someone would die sooner or later. Gu Mingming nodded in agreement. Kanwu hesitated for a moment before saying to Gu Mingming, Mummy, there's something else I have to tell you. Gu Mingming looked at Kanwu's hesitant face and asked, What's wrong? Kanwu lowered his head, not daring to look at Gu Mingming in the eyes. He said in a small voice, What exactly happened? Kanwu had never been a wishy-washy child. This was the first time he was so timid. Gu Mingming's instincts told her that he was in trouble. She said worriedly, Don't worry, your daddy is here to support you. Tell me, what exactly happened? Kanwu scratched his head and said, Nothing much, it's just that. I took over the stray beasts camp. Huh? Gu Mingming did not react for a moment. Kanwu thought to himself, since he had already done it, no matter how angry his mother was, she would not strangle him to death. Hence he mustered up his courage and said, I have taken over the stray beasts camp. Why did you take over that place? Gu Mingming could not understand. Kanwu said matter-of-factly, Mother's favorite grapes are in the territory of the stray beasts. I'm not willing to see second brother pluck grapes every year as some stray beast young master, so I took over that place. Every year, Mummy, and I took over that place. Mummy and I will go over to help you two. Kanwu nodded and replied, Us 4 brothers promised to be Mother's support in the future, and give the best things in the world to Mother. Since that grape is Mother's favorite, I can't let it fall into someone else's hands. Mummy, I said I you I and king I and you. I comma you he you. I and. I and. Gu you and you just you. You and I, with a not. Gu Mingming looked at Leah, who shrugged his shoulders, indicating that he did not know either. He then asked, which female snow fox? The wolf beast shook its head. I don't know him. Leah didn't know what was going on either, and could only nod. Let's go, we'll know when we go back. The group of people did not return to the stone castle, but went straight to the conference room. At the door of the conference room, they saw a female snow fox curled up and sitting at the door. She had a delicate and charming face with a sickly look. She looked like a willow branch swaying in the wind, and looked a little like Lin Dayu. I was also afraid that once I let go of you, I would see you frowning, cry, jump into the lake and say that the beast world is not good at all, that you don't like it here, don't like me. Ming, I'm really afraid. Don't struggle, let me hug you like this, I beg you. Every word and sentence of Li's was like grinding his heart into cinnabar. He raised his pen and wrote on his lips, making Gu Mingming's heart ache. That self-directed misunderstanding was her emotional wound, but wasn't it also a dead knot for him? Chapter 13:13. With Gu Mingming's current abilities, if she really wanted to struggle free, Leah would not be able to hold her at all. Sighing, Gu Mingming gave up struggling and allowed Leah to hug her tightly as he wished he could rub her into his body. I won't struggle free, tell me. What's the matter with Aya? Leah felt Gu Mingming's obedience and his heart was no longer in a mess. He tried to loosen his grip a little, and seeing that she really did not push him away, he finally calmed down and heaved a heavy sigh of relief. He said slowly, Miranda is my father's concubine. When Cole schemed against me, it was on her bed. Gu Mingming felt as if she was struck by lightning, charred on the outside and tender on the inside. Feeling Gu Mingming's abnormality, Leah was at a loss. He said, in this world, anyone can misunderstand me, no matter how bad they describe me. It doesn't matter. Only you can't. Gu Mingming, you said before that you believe me. Nothing happened between Miranda and me. I'm really innocent. Gu Mingming hesitated for a moment, but still reached out to gently touch Li's back. She said, I know, I believe you. Your mating mark is on my left ear. Of course there's nothing between us. Upon hearing that, Leah nodded his head heavily. He first kissed Gu Mingming's left ear. Gu Mingming could feel that his lips were trembling, and even his breathing was vibrating. With the joy of surviving a calamity, Leah then dared to let go of Gu Mingming slightly. He held onto her shoulders with both hands and distanced himself from her. He peeked at Gu Mingming's expression secretly. Yes, ever since Miranda appeared, Leah had been hugging Gu Mingming tightly in his arms. He did not dare to look at her face at all, afraid that there would be disdain and disgust, suspicion on her face. Luckily you believe me. Leah said this with extreme helplessness. Gu Mingming looked up at Leah and said, I believe you are innocent, and even if something happened between you and Miranda, I believe that you did not do it willingly and was schemed against by Cole. I will not push the blame on you for Cole's crimes. After all, you are also a victim. No, there's really nothing, Leah explained nervously. Gu Mingming nodded. Yeah, I said I believe you. Leah pursed his lips, his eyes filled with caution. Miranda's incident was the biggest stain on his life. Regardless of what had happened, regardless of whether he had been framed by Cole, the fact that he had once appeared in another female's bed had already made him guilty of a crime that deserved to die 1,000 times over. He was extremely afraid that Gu Mingming would mind this matter, and also extremely afraid that Gu Mingming would abandon him because of this. So when Miranda appeared, Leah froze. Leah asked, Then why aren't you smiling? You. Gu Mingming sighed. She really could not smile. In the past, she did not understand why Leah called her Meng, Elvis called her Xiaomeng, and Snake called her Tumeng. But after inheriting Snake's memories, She understood that the beast world had a special meaning for addressing one another. A female could have more than one partner. They couldn't get a complete love, so they wanted a complete title. It was a little self-deceiving, but it was a comfort to the soul. For example, everyone who had no special relationship with her would call her the Great Messenger, or Gu Mengmeng. So Gu Mengmeng was the messenger of the beast deity that belonged to the entire beast world. And Xiaomeng was a Xiaomeng that belonged to Elvis alone. Chapter 13-14. Tumeng, on the other hand, was the Tumeng that belonged to Snake alone. Even if they were the same person, because of the difference in their names, there would be a difference in the male's heart. So, Gu Mengmeng really minded the fact that Miranda had a nickname for Leah. She did not even call Leah Aya, so what right did Miranda have to call him that? I mind Miranda, Gu Mengmeng said straightforwardly. Why did she call you Aya? What was the relationship between the two of you in the past? I can see that her attitude towards you is not like an elder to a junior, but more like a woman's admiration, infatuation and unattainable desire towards a man. Don't try to deny it. I recognized her expression just now. It was the same expression on my face when you were fooling around with Nina. You can ask Elvis if you don't believe me. Leah was most afraid of Gu Mengmeng's cold violence. She did not speak or ignore him, not even giving him a chance to explain or coax her. That was the most torturous. Now she was like a machine gun in an overbearing manner, which made Leah feel at ease. As long as she was willing to ask, she was giving him a chance to explain, at least to prove that she did not intend to abandon him. His heart gradually returned to his chest. Leah kissed Gu Mengmeng's brow gently and said in a hoarse voice, "My darling, thank you." Gu Mengmeng was just about to start a big fight with Leah, but the moment the fire was ignited, it was extinguished by Lee's gentle words. The anger in her chest was instantly reduced by half. Facing Lee's humble and doting smile, Gu Mengmeng could not bring herself to be ruthless and the lines on her face softened. She pushed Leah and said, "What are you thanking me for? Don't think of bluffing your way out of this easily. I am quarreling with you here." Leah smiled as he placed Gu Mengmeng on the bed. He sat on the floor and propped one hand on the edge of the bed outside of Gu Mengmeng's thighs, while the other hand held Gu Mengmeng's little hand and played with it. He looked up at Gu Mengmeng and placed himself in a lower position than her. He smiled and said, "How can I bear to quarrel with you? Scold me if you feel uncomfortable, I will listen. I'll explain it to you after you're done scolding and vented your anger, okay?" Seeing Leah in this state, Gu Mengmeng felt as though she had punched cotton. She was hysterical, but he smiled and said, "You look so good scolding me." With that, Leah transformed into his beast ears and flapped his wings twice. He lowered his head in front of Gu Mengmeng and laid on her thighs gently, saying, "If you're still angry, then pull my ears. I won't dodge or dodge. I'll let you pull until you're appeased, alright?" Gu Mengmeng looked at the pair of white and furry fox ears and the thick and clean big tail behind Leah. At that moment, she could not even let out her anger. "What you're saying makes it sound like I'm being unreasonable and unreasonable." As Gu Mengmeng spoke, she could not help but touch Lee's ears. She did not reject the tail that Leah carefully placed in her arms and hugged it with her other hand. Damn it, this damned furry fetish was really a bad habit. Glaring at Leah, he cursed in his heart. Acting cute is shameful, but it's really F***king useful. Chapter 13-15. You don't need to be reasonable. In my eyes, you are the reason. Leah rubbed his cheek against hers before flipping himself onto the bed. He laid on the side of the bed and used Gu Mengmeng's thighs as a pillow. He looked at Gu Mengmeng affectionately with his slanted eyes and said, "Mengmeng, I have only done 2 wrong things to you in my entire life. One is to act in that drama with Nina to make you sad. The other is to appear on Miranda's bed. Other than that, I have not done anything else to make you sad. Trust me, alright?" Gu Mengmeng's anger had long been dispersed by Lee's sugar-coated bullets. His endless indulgence and pampering made Gu Mengmeng unable to vent her anger, so she could only nod as a reply. Leah placed Gu Mingming's little hand by his lips and kissed it before continuing. I will tell you everything you want to know without hiding anything. You can be angry, you can throw a tantrum at me, you can hit me or scold me. You can even ask Elvis to bite me to death. But, you must never say that you want to abandon me. Do you understand? Gu Mingming raised her brows and squinted her eyes. Is there anything between you and Miranda that will make me want to abandon you out of anger? Leah shook his head and said, the most disgusting thing is appearing on her bed. Really? Gu Mingming was skeptical. Leah smiled bitterly and reached out to touch Gu Mingming's left ear, saying, I have already given you my chastity. What are you still doubting? Gu Mingming thought about it and said with a cold face, You liked her before? Leah was so infuriated by Gu Mingming that he laughed out loud. He shook his head helplessly and caressed Gu Mingming's face, saying, Before meeting you, I did not know what liking was. After meeting you, how could I like someone else? Gu Mingming suppressed the smile on her lips. The atmosphere of quarreling was long gone, but Gu Mingming was not going to give Leah a good look without clarifying the matter regarding Miranda. So she straightened her neck and said, Don't try to fool me with sweet words. If you don't tell me clearly what happened between you and Miranda, I will not let you off. Leah nodded and replied, I will tell you everything. Sitting up, Leah opened his arms wide and said, Mingming, you know that the memories of my childhood are a form of torture to me. Only with you in my arms can I have the courage to face those unbearable times. No matter how angry you are, hug me. I really need you now. Gu Mingming did not say anything and just shifted her body into Lee's arms. The corners of Lee's lips curved up slightly as he rested his chin on the top of Gu Mingming's head. With a gentle gaze he said, My Gu Mingming, please don't abandon me. Without you, I don't know what will happen to me. Chapter 13-16. My partner will choose one of them, the other two will be chosen by my big brother, and the remaining three will be arranged by someone else. It was as if Leah was talking about someone else's matters. He spoke slowly and tirelessly. Miranda is one of the three females. You've also met the other one, Jillian, who was imprisoned by Cole. She's Cole's ex-partner. The last one is Lisa, my big brother's partner. Gu Mingming was a little confused. Didn't he say that the three females were prepared for Leah? How did one become his father's concubine? One became the partner of the eldest highness, and one became Cole's exclusive property. Leah smiled as he played with Gu Mingming's fingers, as if he had seen through her confusion. Without waiting for her to speak, he directly replied, You may not believe me, but I have always kept myself chaste for you. Gu Mingming raised her eyebrows, her face clearly saying, Keep making things up. Leah brought Gu Mingming's little hand to his lips and kissed it, saying, Among the witch doctors in the Snow Fox tribe, I am the most gifted. So I managed to predict many things that my father's generation could not predict. And things that my father and the rest could not understand, I could somehow understand. I know that the messenger of the beast deity is about to descend, and I can even predict the approximate location, but these, I have never told anyone. Gu Mingming knew about this. Elvis had told her before that when Leah chose the location for Saint Nazaire, he did not choose it randomly, but used the lake that she had transmigrated from as the center point, and expanded the area in all directions. He was waiting for the arrival of the messenger of the beast deity, and with the goal of keeping the messenger of the beast deity in Saint Nazaire, he had been cultivating a rapport with Elvis, learning from each other's strengths to make up for his weaknesses. Leah pinched Gu Mingming's little face, saying, Since young, I have known that the person I will mate with is the messenger of the beast deity, so I naturally have to keep my chastity. But I can't tell anyone about this beforehand, because only when the information is sealed can I gain an absolute advantage. When I meet you, I can crush all the other pursuers and become your favorite vixen. A crafty look flashed across Lee's eyes, and he smiled, continuing, In order to hide my own motives, I could only allow those old fellows from the Elders' Council to arrange for these three females to stay by my side. To put it nicely, they were childhood sweethearts, but in my eyes, they were just three troublemakers that kept sticking to me. In order to hide from them, I hid in the secret room every day to study the secret book, or to learn witchcraft from my father. With my talent and hard work, my achievements in the witch doctor world came from this. Unfortunately, my avoidance and coldness didn't wake them up, nor did it make them disheartened. Instead, it made their fighting spirit even more aroused. Endless tricks, hundreds of pestering, it really made it hard for me to deal with them. Looking at their eyes that were getting hotter and hotter day by day, I felt like I was sitting on pins and needles, feeling more and more danger, so Chapter 13-17. Thinking of this, Leah facepalmed. Clearly, he still felt that it was a huge problem. Sighing, he continued. I trusted Cole too much at that time, so I didn't have any suspicions. Now that I think about it, why can't I figure it out? Miranda knew about this. Cole must have told her. I guess. Cole had already been plotting it at that time. A scheme to drag me down from the pedestal of the beloved child and into the mud. I thought I was smart then, to actually seek help from the mastermind. Cole must have been very pleased at that time, laughing at my stupidity in his heart. I paid the price for my stupidity, and ended up with the crime of having an affair with my father's beast concubine, becoming an outcast. No one believed that I was innocent, after all. I was caught red-handed in bed. Gu Mingming frowned and said, I don't understand, Miranda was already so devoted to you. How did she become your father's concubine? And, your father already has a partner. Why would he and Miranda? That. Li's gaze focused on Gu Mingming's face and he said, This is the reason why I was afraid you would abandon me. Gu Mingming didn't understand and just looked at Leah quietly, waiting for his explanation. The males in the beast world will not have intercourse with females other than their partners, but the Snow Fox tribe is an exception. Leah laughed sarcastically, his voice hollow as he said, The Messenger's tribe is so noble and mysterious in the eyes of outsiders, but who would know that the Messenger's tribe does not allow outsiders to enter, just to hide this dirty secret? The females of the Snow Fox tribe will go into estrus once every few years, and Sauter's secret underground tunnel is used for this. What? Gu Mingming was confused. Once the females of the Snow Fox tribe go into estrus, the fox seductive fragrance will spread everywhere. To prevent the fragrance from spreading, all the females will enter the underground tunnel at this time. For a month, they will mate like wild beasts, without reason. Although the males of the Snow Fox clan had a certain degree of resistance to the fox seductive fragrance, the high-purity fox seductive fragrance in a sealed environment, coupled with the infatuated seduction of the females, meant that the males' bottom line was to not touch their mother and daughters. Other than that, they mate indiscriminately. Gu Mingming's hair stood on end and she was speechless. Leah reached out and tapped Gu Mingming's brows, saying, Every time this happens, I will run out of solder and hide in the forest. I'll hide in the deep mountains and forests to protect your chastity. Gu Mingming touched Li's ears and praised, well done. Leah chuckled. Miranda got entangled with my beast father during a mass estrus. I don't know the specific details, but I do know that after that mass estrus, my beast father became obsessed with Miranda. Miranda, who had ended her estrus period, wanted to break free from my beast father's entanglement, but was imprisoned by my beast father. I heard that during that period of time, she cried out my name every night, hoping that I would save her. Perhaps she was pitiful, but it was a good thing for me. I made, at father, and and said, father, at. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.